They call it like hitting the post, when you're able to speak until the sound starts. For anybody who has a broadcast background, like hitting the post is doing that. And I'm filling that space so that people that are on Facebook kind of know what's happening on here. So I'm giving a little bit of an introduction to all of you. And this is also a warning for anyone who is watching, who is in the Zoom this morning, that we are doing a live broadcast. If for any reason you don't want to appear in the playback, this will be the point I would just mute your video. And what I'm going to do is actually, in my view, I'm going to hide non-video participants. So we're not going to see your photo or anything. It'll be like you weren't even on here today. You can just be watching us. So good morning and welcome to Facebook community. We are live here at Inforum Troy Virtual. And I'm very excited because we're going to be sharing a wonderful presentation today by Poteau of Talent Activators. And what I'm going to do now is turn the floor over to Dawn, and I'm going to pin you in the presenter position, Dawn, and you can take it from here.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be back in this Troy group. And I do, yes, miss the Walsh opportunities, but I will say, as some were chatting, that the opportunity to be able to do this for multiple locations has really been beneficial. And I think, Terry, that's part of what you were talking about, why the increase in uptick in membership. So love Inforum and have been able to support other affinity groups. So this conversation actually got started with Brenda and I back in January when we did a LinkedIn Live together and started talking about collaboration and trying to get on the schedule. So something that I've been using with my clients, and for a couple of you that may have participated in a hackathon that I did back in September and in December with Barbara Bolt, who's also been, I know, an attendee at some of these events. We were doing some collaboration and trying to do hackathons when we weren't going to be in person, and discovered a couple of different things and looked at Miro. We talked about other collaboration tools that we could use, and then we started to look just at Jamboard. So I know that a couple of people had put in the chat that there are different tools available. I think Miro, I kind of put on that higher level. When you're just starting off with a group of people like we are today, I'm going to assume that some of you have never used this type of technology. It's kind of the intro version. So we're going to use Jamboard, which is a Google product. It's free as part of, if you have a Google Gmail account, it's available to you and it's really easy to use. So what I'm going to do real quick here is, first I'm going to put a link. Whoops, that is the wrong link. Technology, I love it. So let me find the correct link. And I'm gonna do a screen share, but I want to get the link ready to go as soon as we can launch that.
Dawn, I'll help you out as you're doing that too. So just to give you a little bit of space here. So Dawn's going to be putting a link in chat, and this is actually going to be a collaborative session that we're doing here today. So it'll be kind of fun and interactive, and we did a practice run beforehand. So Dawn, when you're ready, go ahead and share your screen.
Okay.
And I'll just make sure if you need any help.
Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, can somebody give me a thumbs up? You can see it. Thanks, Brenda. Okay, so the way that Jamboard works is that it's a tool. It allows collaboration to occur. So you can start to see that these little chiclets up at the top, they're little characters and animals. So we have an anonymous leopard, we've got a cheetah, we've got a chipmunk and a camel. So those are each of you as you're coming in. So for the moment, I'm going to have you just get logged in. If you are on a phone and don't have the ability to do this, you should still be able to watch and view this. So what Jamboard allows you to do is this collaboration. So while all of us are in different locations, we can be contributing to the same document. So if you've used the Google products and suites, and I know a couple of you mentioned Microsoft Teams and using SharePoint and things like that, it allows simultaneous development and content creation. So we're going to practice and do that here in a second, but I just want to give you a little background and familiarity with it. So there's different icons over here on the left-hand side. So you can see this pen that comes up, and it will allow me to do some writing. And I'm just going to do some circling. You can imagine I did this in the summer a couple months ago with a group of Girl Scouts. It was amazing to see what started to show up on the screen as they started to get familiar with it. If you want to erase things, there's this tool here, so I can get rid of all the scribbles and stuff on the screen. There's a pointer. And one of the things that we're going to test out here in a minute, and I'll have you each do this so we can get to know one another a little bit better, is sticky note function. So you'll see this pop up and you can change the colors across the top, pick the color, and you can simply type, a message in here. It's always fun to type and talk at the same time. And then you can continue or do anything, and then you can just click and drag and move it around. So I can see that some folks are figuring out how to click and drag things on my screen. And then the other fun part that I did with the Jamboard exercise that we did for the hackathon is we actually had people building a PowerPoint presentation essentially to share with the sponsor companies on ideas that they had. So you can go out and look at, do a Google image search, for instance. And some of you might have seen me do this before, but I love lions and tigers and bears. So I can just grab a lovely lion here and I can insert him in and you'll see the lion appear. So it's great if you're trying to do visual examples and exercises with it. You can do that. You can also click here and, create circles, and you can fill them up here at the top with different colors. So if I want to fill that, I can also change the shape as I hover over, and I can make it a triangle. I knew a pie was going to show up. There's Brenda. And then we certainly have the normal text box here that you can just start typing in. So what I love about this when I was using it for a project is when we did the hackathons, we had 6 different teams running simultaneously. And as the presenter, since this is my Jamboard and I'm the originator of it, I was able to see, while I had them off in breakout rooms, each of those groups were working independently, but I could be monitoring them. So as a facilitator, and some of you, play this role with your clients, where I could actually be seeing if someone was stuck. So I actually had one group in December that nothing was showing up on their screen. So what I could do is pop in there as a presenter and check in on the group to make sure they were doing okay. And what was happening is someone else was working independently on their laptop, but they weren't doing it on the Jamboard yet. So it's really great for that because you can see, even if you're not in the room with all of the people, you can see how the progress is moving. So that's the fun part of it. So that's a little bit about Jamboard. So I just want to check in and see if there's any questions about this in the chat, and then we're going to do a quick exercise with everybody together. Any questions or anything coming up in the chat? So Kendra's asking a question about, can you change your name and make yourself not anonymous? You can, and I think what you have to do is like right click on your icon. And I believe that's where you can change and put your name in, just like we do in Zoom. So if somebody wants to test that, since I'm the owner, I can't do that. So, okay. If there aren't any other, how do you know which icon is yours? It should be showing up in the top of your view. For people, I don't know if you see up here, like I can see that there's 18 people. And when I click on it, you would have to then adjust who you are, is I believe how you do that. So sorry, I don't have that exact answer. Okay, so what we're going to do next is, what I'd like you to do is grab a sticky note and write your name on it, and then tell us your creative superpower. So you can see I've already filled mine out, and I call myself this professional matchmaker because for most of you in the room, we've either had a conversation, and if you've interacted with me, probably we've talked about people, and it's always ironic for me when I find having those conversations, how many people we're connected to and or who I can connect other folks with. So recently, a friend of mine said, you're like this professional matchmaker and you always find people to make connections with. So what I'd like each of you to do is grab the sticky note over here on the left, grab a sticky note, put your name and what's your superpower that you have. So Brenda's up there with unlocking the power of LinkedIn. Who's next? Anyone having trouble with being able to get to that?
And I was just reminding people they have to click onto page 2 because I think our view is a little different.
Oh, they can't see page 2 when I've got it displayed?
I think when you moved on, I didn't see it yet. I'm not sure if anyone else has to do that because we're watching the screen and then we're also having Jamboard open in another window. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, how do we get to the second page then?
At the very top
Okay.
of your bar, you should see it says 1 of 6. You click to the right.
Oh,
make it go 2 to 6. So
There
thanks
we
for that, Brenda. I
go.
didn't realize that everybody's not seeing what I'm seeing.
That's perfect. Good way to learn.
What's great, Don, is the Zoom is showing your view, but
Okay.
if we're collaborating in a second page, we're on whatever page we are viewing, so we can kind of click through it. But this is really cool to see. This is a great demo. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so we got Stella, who's a writer, and Jennifer is that out-of-box thinker. Kendra, I know because we've gotten a chance to do some work together, that creative marketing and getting results on your return. Donna, helping others grow and develop. And Marilyn's certainly into development. We've known each other for a long time. Sherry, creating relationships. Okay. So hopefully that gives you just, again, a quick snapshot into it. And I think that there's Linda with volunteers and all the volunteering I know she's done. We've gotten to interact there. So you can see it's kind of just another way for you to collaborate with other people in a room. And what I find with a lot of leaders right now, they're really struggling with getting everyone to participate, particularly when they're working virtually. And, even with the return to work, and there's going to be this hybrid for a lot of organizations. This can be a great way when you're sitting in a Zoom call or something where you want to get everyone's participation. And we all know that each of us has different styles. Some of us, like myself, I have no problem talking, and sometimes I need to be stopped from talking so much. But you have others that are those quiet thinkers. And this is a great way for them to be able to contribute to a conversation and get their thoughts out, but not feel like they have to be the one to speak up. It can be recorded. You can have ways of that happening, and collaboration can occur. It's also a great way to have something like this posted. Share the link with your team so that after the meeting, or even before the meeting, if you want to get ideas from folks, you can put something like this out there. So if you can imagine walking into a room like this with all of these sticky notes here for a leader that's coming in, maybe new to the organization, and that's really the focus I have with my business, is helping leaders make those successful transitions into new roles. If we had a new leader and they're coming in and they could see and pretend that all of you are their new team members. So they're walking in and they're understanding, like, for myself, that professional matchmaker, ooh, I'd want to connect with Dawn because she's probably knows everyone in the company that I should get connected to. I'd see Stella and, oh, if I need to have some help on the team and writing something, that's great. If I needed, to get those strong relationships built, I'll reach out to Sherry. So this is a way you can have this going off in the background. The team shares the link and you just have people going in and putting information. It can also be used live like we're doing. So we're going to click to the next frame. It's for those of you that can't see my screen and what's going on. But on the next one, I just put, kind of what we were talking about in the Zoom chat, is what are some fun and creative ways that you've been able to maintain those connections virtually? So I know there's been a lot of fun exercises and activities. So if you have maybe a picture you want to insert, if you've got an idea on a sticky note that you've been using to maintain those connections virtually during this past year, and you'd like to share those up on the screen, I'll give you a moment to do that. So again, use the sticky note, type a text or box, or if you want to pull up a graphic of something. We had in another session I did, somebody pulled up, writing letters, and they actually had found pen pals around the world. So I see a happy hour coming in. What are those things that you've done to maintain connections virtually? Share those on the screen with us. And we're on page 3. I'm just going to pull some of these down as they come in, because they stack up on wherever the last person wrote. So. Okay, so we've got some happy hours, getting those one-on-ones, virtual coffees, playing online games like Pictionary. You could use Jamboard for Pictionary. Be a great fun exercise. Family reunions. I heard somebody recently say that they have a standing Saturday time with their family just to stay connected, and they're doing that virtually, which they hadn't been able to do before. And I see sending handwritten notes and cards to friends and family and team members. I think that's one of my favorite things to do, is to do that and surprise somebody. It always makes their day. You go to the mailbox, we're used to seeing bills, so getting a fun card can really brighten somebody's day. Oh, I see an escape room. Not sure how many people have gotten to do that, but that's always fun. Done scavenger hunts. Okay, looks like some good ideas. All right, so what I'd like to do right now is just maybe open it up for questions. This was just a quick demo to show you a little bit of a collaboration tool that you can use. As we mentioned, there are things like Miro that you can put out there to use. This is really super simple to use in Jamboard. I would say if your team gets really comfortable with this and almost bored, then it might be time to migrate to something with a little more power and zing to it, which I would say Miro is one of those that a lot of people use. I haven't needed to migrate yet to it, but there may be an opportunity for me to do so in the future. But I participated in groups where they were using that tool. So any questions I can help answer? I don't know if anyone's figured out the icons, and that's a good takeaway for me. I will go and double check into that. I thought it was just something we could right click on and change, but I'm going to look at the chat here. So snail mail rules, I like that. And the handwritten cards can make a big impact. So anything, let's see, do you have to set up an account to access Jamboard? So as long as you have a Google account or Gmail, you will be able to access that through your G Drive. So if you go into G Drive, you know, where you've got your docs and your spreadsheets, all of that, you just have to scroll down a little bit further. And if you want, let me just jump in so I can share that with people. I want to move this bar down. So if I go, so I'm in my G Drive, and Brenda, are you able to see this while I'm doing? I just want to make sure.
Yep, we're seeing your G Drive.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So if any of you click on the new, it should show up here. You'll just drop down and you go down further, and then you will see Google Jamboard down at the bottom. So just where, you know, it's below the drawings, but you've got the docs, the sheets, the slides, the forms, and then you click on the more button and you'll see Google Jamboard. And then you just simply will click on it and it will open up a new Jamboard. And there's usually a couple pages in here. And if you need to add more, you'll just click on this expander bar and you put a plus, and it just inserts more and more sheets. And then if you ever want to clear a sheet, once you've done it, it's super easy. You just hit the clear frame. So if I'm, you know, in here and I'm drawing a bunch of stuff and I want to get rid of it, I simply click the link and it clears. Okay. All right. Any other questions in the chat that I can answer? Anybody want to speak up with something that you discovered or something that you've been using that's been helpful to you and your teams in collaborating?
And John, I have a question. Can anyone
Sure.
download the Jamboard after the session, or is this only accessible to the person who created it?
So what you can do is should be able to, up in your upper right, you will be able to download as a PDF. So those three dots at the top, I believe you should be able to do that. What I typically do in events is I will download it as a PDF and send it to the meeting organizer, so they will have it. So Donna's got her hand raised.
Yeah, Dawn, thank you for this. It reminds me of Padlet, which is another free collaboration tool. And in that one, you can actually vote. So let's say you were brainstorming and you wanted, which of these do you resonate with? Do you know if this Jamboard also allows participants to vote up ideas?
Now, what I end up doing, Donna, it's a great question. That's where I will end up using these little shapes. So I've done that in a project before, where let's just, you know, for instance, I'm going to use the happy hour, right? Where I will tell people to use the circle and they vote with using the different, you know, icons. So we can have people use, you know, different colors. So I've done it in a different way, but not as like a survey function or something, that technology. I've just had people use shapes and things like that to vote with.
Thank you.
Yep. And if you want, Donna, if you want to put that other tool in either as a sticky note on here or in the chat, that would be great. And then others might be able to take a look at that. The great thing about here is collaboration. We get all kinds of different ideas and resources. Any other questions about how you might use this or other tools that you're using currently?
I was just wondering, I think I love this and think about brainstorming, especially with like our event committees or strategic planning with our board. Some are like on their iPads when they call in or whatever. So I know the split screen might be a little tricky, so I could see them maybe having their phone going. Have you seen this at all in a mobile setting to use the tools? Or is it something you would recommend to be more desktop or laptop based?
It's a great question, Maureen, because I would certainly, if I was doing strategic planning in a situation like that, or it was a really important event, I would make sure to let everyone know in advance that it works best from, a desktop or laptop situation versus a mobile phone or the tablet because of the way that the screens operate. So
Makes
yes,
sense.
it's going to be better for the collaboration to occur, but sometimes, with everybody being in different parts may not be always feasible, but I think if you can plan accordingly, this is the best option, is to have everybody on a desktop.
Makes sense. And I just have one more question. I
Sure.
have one partner, I think it's Blue Cross. They lock us out of Google.
Okay.
So have you had any issues with this being a Google-based product? Because I love this.
I would say I haven't had it with a client. I mean, I had one client that was Google based, so it worked out really well. What I have used are other tools like, in SharePoint, depending on what the company is using, there are ways in SharePoint to, leverage that. And I also think with Teams, you can do similar functions. I was just, going to use Jamboard for today, but I think I wanted to open up the possibility that there are other ways to do it. And I know Kendra's on and she does a lot of work with Teams. There may be others too that are using it. I've used SharePoint in a similar way because you can be collaborating with different people from a SharePoint site. So it's a great question to ask the clients on what their platform is, because I know SharePoint is a way to do that as well.
I love this though, because it reminds me when I used to be more of a facilitator. This is my, this is the flip chart that I would prepare going into a training. So I like how you kind of had the slides remind me of the flip chart. And then together we fill this out. So I feel like that's very reminiscent. And I like that because I think we're all missing that room of energy.
Yes. And I love the color. I know everything seems vanilla these days. So having color is great.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I was like, I missed this. I forgot how much I missed this.
Yep. My Post-it note consumption has gone down dramatically, but this has filled that little void. Any other questions or anything I can help with? I see there's something else in the chat here. Some other tools. So Padlet, Redium, Miro, and Mural. Yes. Thank you, Donna. And Andrea, yes, this is free to use. Again, if you have a Google account, there's no cost for this. So, okay. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I just wanted to drop in real quick and share a tool with you. I will make sure that I get this out to Brenda. So if anybody is curious about some of the ideas that popped up here and you weren't able to either download it yourself as a PDF or take a screenshot, we'll make sure that you get it. But I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of the group today and share with you a tool for collaboration. And I can't wait to see everybody in person soon. And if not, continue to see and interact with you all through Zoom. So thanks for the opportunity to be here today to the Fab Five. And I really enjoy sharing this with everyone.
Dawn, if I could, if you could leave Jamboard up for just a second, and I just added it on the next page, it's a blank page, to leave comments for Dawn. Did you enjoy the presentation here today? And I tried to put in a link to her LinkedIn profile. It doesn't look like it's allowing us to put in links that I could find. Does that sound right to you, Dawn? Like, trying to keep you in here. But I put this in here for two reasons. One is we're testing. I want to test out. This is kind of like the pop quiz. Did everybody remember what Dawn just taught us? And I was going through the background trying to figure out the anonymous settings, and it said it looks like because this is a public link, everybody's anonymous. If you made it private and sent it to a list, I think then people could come in with their Google name. It was already set up, which is actually kind of cool because if I wanted to share feedback and not if you really want to get feedback, sometimes you want to share it anonymously. So Dawn doesn't know the feedback came from me. Like, oh, I didn't like the Post-it note colors. Like, I'm not attacking Dawn, but I don't want Dawn to feel like I'm a negative Nancy for saying, a comment. So the anonymous feature is kind of a cool thing. But please leave Dawn feedback in here. And the reason I put the LinkedIn URL is if you really enjoyed her presentation, I did. I thought her presentation style, it was great. It was amazing walking us through here. Go to her LinkedIn profile and give her a recommendation. And I put that in there to make it a little bit easier for you to do so, but it's not clickable. So we tried, Dawn.
I'll make sure everybody's got my LinkedIn in the chat. That way I know a few of you we've connected, and I was just offline talking to a few people. So we'll get together.
Awesome.
Thank
All right,
you.
perfect. I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll keep Q&A going for a few more minutes. And let me just click on stop now. Let's see if I click on stop live stream here. And we're going to keep us going for the conversation for a few more minutes.